I am really happy that we have our own intro. I think it makes us way more professional.
And
And-
important.
Yes, it does. Everything important has its own intro. And with this, welcome everybody to this week's Running from Cheetahs with Nikita and Emily.
Hello.
Today with a very special guest.
It's Dr. Marketa Zaitova. Hello, doctor.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are you feeling today?
Anxious. A lot of anxiety is on my shoulders.
Are you scared of us?
Not of you, of my English, of course, as usual.
I think every guest we had so far was very pleased with the interview. I also hope you will enjoy it. Yeah, and we will talk a little bit about the things that you work with in your professional life, and but first let's start with psychology. You are a psychologist. You are a clinical
Correct.
psychologist.
Correct.
And I was always wondered what kind of people are psychologists. Are they? I always imagined psychologists being really because they had to do a lot of psychology and had to think about themselves a lot. That they are maybe really good at problem solving in their everyday life as well.
You would think so.
I would think so. Yes. You probably know. You are a psychologist. You know a lot of psychologists. Is it true?
There is a joke that a lot of psychologists are or study the psychology to solve their own issues, and that's probably true. We are there. We chose this field because we need to understand something in ourselves. And I hope so. We did it well during the whole 5 years of study psychology, and we can do the problem solving. We are good in introspection. We can think about what's going on in ourselves to be here for the patients and our colleagues well. So I believe the study helped us, or the university helped us, and the psychotherapeutic trainings and our jobs and supervision helped us. But I believe we all started because we needed to solve our own issues. It's a joke, but a true joke.
And do you notice on yourself that it was a big journey?
It still is. And I think it will always be a huge and difficult journey, but very, very interesting and amazing. And I love it. I would not like to change it. I would not choose anything else. Psychology is amazing. It's day to day, there are some surprises. I can learn something new from my patients. And it was a long journey. It still is, and it will always be. And I believe this is correct. We should not just stay at the point and believe we are good right now. And that's like...
There's always room for improvement.
Of course. Thank you.
So I have a question. We were discussing this, Nikita and I, a lot about the work-life balance and these things. So as a psychologist, how does someone achieve the work-life balance? What would you tell this person? How to, the steps?
And is it something you can achieve, or is it something you need to balance every day?
Something, how to balance it, how to achieve it.
And my answer is, I don't think we can somehow have a good work-life balance. We need to think about it on a daily basis to understand where is the position of a job or our profession and where we stand as human beings, and to somehow balance it every day. Because I believe there are days when we are more at work, and there must be days where we are more in our personal life. But it's very difficult to give you a recipe how to do this. It's just good to, or a rule that helped me is to understand that if I have a quality time on my own, if I can spend some my life, personal lifetime, I can be more productive at work. Because sometimes I push myself to be very productive at my profession, and sometimes I somehow forgot to do my hobbies and to have just leisure free time. And then I need to remind myself that if I don't have my free time, if I don't have, I can't go to a pub with a friend, I cannot be good at my job.
So you would say it's a dynamic process that it has to happen every day, and every day we have to put work and thought into it.
Exactly.
So there's no one position that is the perfect one, but it has to change.
And of course, because the conditions are changing, because of course you have a duty, on-call duty at your work, and you cannot just, if you have 24 hours of on-call duty, where is the time for your life? So you need to gain it during the different day.
And I think I totally agree with you. And I think we as people, we thrive on variety as well. We cannot be, we're rarely satisfied with just one thing all the time. So I think we need to kind of change pace. I notice it from my own studying, for example, that you get tired, you need something else to do. So you get a bit back the energy. Yes?
Exactly. So maybe the first point in maintaining work-life balance is to search your own feelings and needs, to understand what do you need right now. If you need to get a nap, or if you need to go for a walk, or to go out running, to study, to cook, or to go back to work because it's necessary for you. But to first focus on what do you really need.
But we have to push ourselves sometimes, isn't it? We have to do the difficult thing that we might not kind of want. Now, sometimes we want really to take the nap now, or we just want to go out or something, but we have to do the difficult thing.
Yes, and what can help you to do the difficult things?
Well, I would say, this is really turning into psychology. Yes. It gives me I will ask you a question about it later. Yes, but it's really solving because I have currently burnout, depression, insomnia, everything there.
So we will talk later about your depression.
Yes.
But I think it has a lot to do with the person, because, for example, there are people who are extremely driven to the point that they're very perfectionist, and I think burnout, the thing of not taking time for themselves, you can see in this type of people because they're studying. I know someone who studies like 18 hours a day, and she's constantly studying and constantly doing things. She's a math student and she's very tired, and that person is always living in the edge. So I think what you're saying, and probably the patients who have the most students are the ones who are very perfectionist. That you can see that. So I really think it depends on the person. It's very personal.
Because the perfectionism is usually driven by anxiety. Like, you need to have everything done correctly. You need to be the best one. You need to have it like in order. And this is very like tiring.
Is an anxious person?
It's not. It should not be, or it's not like anxious person, like anxious in front of people. But the anxiety, the need to have things in order, this is a part of anxiety. But anxiety, like, as you can see it on me when I speak English, but anxiety when you need to understand how the things are going, to have it like to totally know that you are well prepared, that you did the most or the best. And my answer to the question I asked you is when you need to push yourself to things, it's good to imagine the value behind it, why you are doing this. Because I believe every of us has something like we were very frustrated from university studies, from work. And it did not feel like it's the proper thing to do. And if we imagine the value that's behind it, like, I want to be a psychologist, and this is the way, this is the thing I need to do to become a psychologist, you can find the motivation.
I think this comes sort of with seeing the purpose of the thing that you're doing, so believing in it. Sure. And I think, isn't it also a big part of like burnout, then it develops not only because we do too much of something, but maybe because we don't see the purpose of doing it, or the value like you said.
Could be, and it's a nice saying that only those people who are on fire can burn out. If you are not on fire, if you are like somehow lazy at your work, you will never burn out. But if you are too eager, if you are too much there, maybe if you see too much value or too much like purpose there, this could be a tricky. If like the only value in your life is study, school, maybe work, patience, and this is like the heterogeneity you mentioned, like to have a whole palette of possibilities what to do.
So the follow-up question I wanted to ask you is that, do you ever stop being a psychologist? Like in
Yes, sure.
Yeah,
because
it feels like you don't.
Right
because I am here as a psychologist.
Yes. But is it difficult for you sometimes maybe to switch this off? Because it is. They say sometimes a doctor goes on a party and he's also a doctor on a party. He will diagnose people there, and the same with other professions. You know. And how do you feel like this as well?
I don't think so. It's kind of difficult to think about people from the psychological perspective, like to gather all the information to what they say and their non-verbal behavior, their personal history, how they behave in the moment. So this is kind of very difficult cognitive process. So it's easy to turn this off, but it's not so easy to turn off my curiosity. That's why I always ask, even though when I'm on a party. It's just part of myself.
Wait, you ask on a party?
I ask people about their stuff. I'm curious. What are your hobbies? What do you do in your leisure time?
I'm
much?
Scared of psychologists because you ask too much, and to the point that you're going to start asking, and then imagine I start realizing that things are not going well, and then I start crying, and then when you see, it's a scene. It's just horrible. I'm very scared of psychologists.
Maybe you need to isn't it like being scared of a dentist? Like, oh, my tooth hurts, so I don't go to the dentist.
This is exactly my problem. If I go, I'm almost crying every time I go to the dentist. It's not really. I'm very scared of dentists and psychologists too. No, not you.
No, not me. Thank you.
It's okay. We can all have a little bit of relaxed juice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bring a plush toy. I'm always bringing a plush toy to my dentist. I'm just holding my plush toy. It's a platypus. It's my dentist's platypus.
You have a dentist platypus?
Yes. They laugh at me. I'm 31 years old and I still have my platypus with me every single visit.
Oh.
And it helps a lot.
Oh, I cry. It helps too. It's okay.
So just bring tissues. Problem solved.
I'll bring tissues. Thank you.
Okay, let's maybe do then our first game. I think this is a good point in time.
Okay, let's try.
Let's try it. So we have prepared. Look, I know there are those a lot of personality theories, and there are different ways of testing for personality nowadays. Tell us what do you think is the most scientific or most scientifically proven
theory of personality?
Theory of, like, you know, those, they're like
theory of personality.
Or there are the big five, for example, or the
one with the 16 type of personalities. You have the E and
Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs, exactly.
This thing. So we have a game.
Yeah, which one, first of all, before the game, which one do you think is the most well studied or something like that?
The most used in studies, therefore the most studied was like evidence-based data, is the big five, because it's an easy questionnaire or easy, very fast personality inventory that could be used in research.
You do that a lot with your patients?
With my patients, not so much, because I'm usually providing supportive care, not diagnosing the patients, and it will not tell you so much in a clinical practice. It's more suitable for research.
Mm-hmm.
In clinical practice, we use MMPI, Minnesota Multifactorial Personality Inventory, 2nd edition.
Which is how is it different from?
It's much, much, much longer.
Okay.
MMPI has 567 questions,
Mhm.
more than 100 results divided into many, many categories. So, and it was developed on a clinical population. Many personality inventories was built on normal health population. So they are kind of tricky in dividing clinical and non-clinical population, but MMPI was built on population from psychiatric hospitals, so it can distinguish among those personalities.
Okay. Do you think it is valuable for a regular person to know about, like, do a personality quiz or test? Do you learn something from it?
I believe it's always good to learn something about yourself.
Or do you think maybe it creates a more bias that you're saying, oh, I'm like this, I'm this type?
It's based on the type of the questionnaire. If it's if it does not have a good validity and reliability, that it can bring bias. But it's good to orientate in yourself, to understand yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. Then we will. So we found. I did some research myself, and I think this is the most. The newest, basically, type of personality quiz. They developed a very innovative type of quiz where you have very few questions, but those are very precise questions, and in the end, you know exactly what kind of person you are. So, are you ready to undertake this very short quiz?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
So, the first question is: I am sensitive to the feelings of others. Is this true or false? What do you think?
True.
You are? Okay. Second, I'm analyzing you right now, so just don't mind me. 2, I try not to draw attention to myself.
True.
Nice. I mean, get good.
I would like
Next,
stay professional, Emily, please.
Try. I have a vivid imagination.
I believe so.
Jeez, all of this. I'm ambitious.
That's a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
I probably am. Yes, I am.
You are? Okay. Next one is, I have trouble controlling my impulses.
Definitely not.
Okay. 6th question. I am determined to achieve success in life.
Am I really? I would say yes.
Okay. I wish other people would be more logical.
No,
definitely. 8th question. I like to help others with their personal. Come on.
I do this. Do I like it?
Wait. Thank God.
You're going to work every day like, oh, I have to see this.
This woman, she can solve this. I would be a terrible psychologist.
Yeah, just go fix yourself. Would you do like this?
That's our thoughts sometimes.
Yeah.
I admire psychologists just a break, because you guys have a lot of patience. I remember once I went to a psychologist, and she was asking me a lot of questions, and to the point that she couldn't understand, so she asked me to draw and use this for kids. So I felt very stupid, but I admire your patience. But I'm not mentally challenged or retarded. I'm just making that sure. It's okay. I had trouble communicating. And last question.
You punched somebody, isn't it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I kind of did, but that wasn't why I was there.
Oh, okay.
Last question. I believe people should be punished for their mistakes.
No.
Wait, no?
No. People can do mistakes.
So, yeah.
What are the results? Am I okay or not?
We're gonna see the results in a moment.
You should be put in like 4 categories based on the results. So I would say that she's clearly a yellow. So you know what this is?
I'm in Hufflepuff.
Yes, you are in Hufflepuff. The humble, kind, and patient people, loyal, all good qualities, tolerant.
These are good qualities. Yeah. Are there any like flaws also?
You guys?
No, there are no. Everybody's perfect. There are no flaws.
Yeah, I should shut my mouth. Yeah, no flaws.
No flaws.
No flaws.
Yeah,
no
but
flaws.
as you can see, this is a highly modern way of doing personality testing. Yeah.
So you're
That's
happy with
nice.
the results?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Are you a Harry Potter fan?
I was raised, or I read Harry Potter when I was in my adolescence, 14, 13, 12 years old. So I was raised with it. So I'm a huge fan. But I haven't read it during the last 10 years, 15.
I still watch it to this day. Like I do a full marathon from the first to the.
Wow.
Yes, I'm a big
How
Potter.
many hours does it take?
I don't know actually. I don't remember, but a lot. But it's nice. Like it's Harry Potter. But yeah,
It's a nice story.
yes. So this was our game.
Yes, I completely forgot to tell our audience that they're of course very welcome to put write questions in the chat as always. And if we have a moment, we're gonna ask you
Yes.
that. So we have already some questions from the audience. What are your hobbies? Maybe
Do I have some hobbies? Of course.
If you don't want, you don't have to answer. But if you like,
Yes,
you can mention something.
I do like yoga. That's one of my hobbies. I like reading. I like to spend time outside. And I believe one of the biggest of my hobbies is to learn something new. I literally need to stop myself from starting a new class or learning a new language. Hey, relax. You are doing enough. You don't need to do anything else. But hobbies, running, reading, relaxation, sleeping. Sleeping is my new hobby.
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
very good
I
hobby.
wish it was my hobby.
Sometimes sleep in classes. That's why I sit in the back.
But not during the psychological practice.
Yeah,
Please.
No.
Never.
No. Never.
Not all, or would you like to read so I don't have to turn so much?
Not all psychologists ask questions. What is your stand on psychoanalysis?
I'm not sure if I should share my own point of views on psychoanalysis. It's not an approach that is very much used in the Czech Republic. There are psychoanalysts, but the Czech people, I believe, from my experience, prefer someone who is there talking to them. Because during the psychoanalysis, the patient is asked to just ventilate their own thoughts, ideas, dreams without any correction. And this does not look like problem-solving method for many people. So they just want, patients need someone who will ask certain questions and help them to solve their problems. And we are sometimes not solving their problems, but psychoanalysis is kind of tricky in this part, like letting the patient relax and share everything what's on their mind. It needs really a lot of time. Usually sessions are at least 2-3 times per week for years. And
How many years?
Sometimes 18, 12,
Years.
20 years. Psychoanalysis is a long process because you really need to relax and share your ideas without any inner critic, to share really what's on your mind. And this takes a lot of time to build trust, to just lie there and share everything that's on your mind, because you usually stop yourself from saying something.
Yeah, let's jump in our next topic. So you work also with palliative patients a lot. Like, what is exactly your role there?
My role there with the palliative patients.
Yeah. So what kind of patients are those, and do you provide, do you care for them throughout their
whole process of illness?
Process, yeah.
Yeah, before they get the news, after they get the news, like how How's the whole process?
It depends. It totally depends on the patient and the doctor, because the doctor needs to call me and I'm there just when the doctor calls me. If he sees that maybe the patient needs me and the patient needs to accept the psychological care. We do not provide the care without the approval of a patient. So even though the doctor thinks that the patient needs a psychologist and the patient denies it, says, I don't want to talk to a psychologist, we don't come and be there. So if it really depends. Sometimes I'm called just like in the terminal care, but sometimes I'm called to the patient before the diagnosis is set. So we can go through the whole process. And my aim or my role there is to focus on the emotion. I don't plan the treatment. That's a role of a doctor. But I'm usually helping the patient to choose the emotions, to understand what's going on, because you know that there are 5 stages of grief. Mm-hmm. So I can somehow assess if the patient is in the anger stage, depression stage, bargaining stage, and then I can help them to solve this.
They say sometimes that we are so afraid of death because it also has such a negative connotation simultaneously. I don't know. They bring as a comparison, for example, the Day of the Dead that is celebrated in like South America, where they have a more of a celebratory way of dealing with it. Yeah, and that maybe it helps them to get over those experiences better. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that this lady also tried to bring something, something celebratory into this dark moment.
It's very personal the way a person deals with death. For me, I told my friends, I was really straightforward. When I die, everybody wear white. I want flowers and everybody to make jokes at my expenses. I don't want people to cry, because I think death is sad because you're not going to see the person. But at the same time, celebrate the achievements of the person, how much that person meant to you. Try to remember that person with a big smile on your face. It's not always easy. I dealt with messed up situations last year, death and health and very sad things. But then you try to see the silver lining and just celebrate it. I think when you accept it, it's much easier to move on with your life. And still have the person you love with you in your heart. Exactly,
that's what I say. Maybe the person is not here like physically, but he or she lives in our souls because they learned us something. We know what they would say to us or tell to us. So this is very nice experience. Thank you for this.
I still hear my grandfather talking to me, like, what are you doing? Come on, Emily. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, grandpa. Yeah.
So he's still here.
Yes.
In your mind.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to ask if people are people who will die soon, if they are worried a lot about what might come after, if it comes up a lot, that they're worried. What about afterlife? Or are they primarily worried about things they missed or did wrong in their life?
I usually talk to the patients who are at the hospital, who are there usually because of several complications. So they are usually much more afraid of the process of dying.
Okay.
If it's going to hurt?
Yes. If it will be painful, and more often if they will lose their dignity. It's a huge stress. If they will be a burden to their families. These are the questions that arises there. Usually, probably no one has ever, from my experience, it's only like 3 years, but opened the question, what will happen after the life? They are just so focused on what is going to happen right now, what we should do. Should I want the intubation or CPR or not? These are the questions that we are solving.
there are a lot of things happening now that keep them
But
occupied.
I believe it's because our like religion status here in the Czech Republic, because we are more of a atheists. We don't believe in anything almost, only bribes, etc. So, but I believe if we are in different country, this could be a question. Maybe in Slovakia.
Yeah, or Poland or something.
Like back home, it's a very common question. Since I was a kid,
Tell us again. So maybe where are you from?
I'm from Cape Verde, so it's mainly a country where the prevalent religion is Christianism. So basically, there are a lot of questions. Since I was a kid, if someone dies, I go to my mom like, "Mom, is he going to hell or heaven?" That was my primary question. So it's very back home. They ask a lot this, and they always say, "Is he going to hell? Is he going to heaven?" And here that's what you said. It depends on the society, on the country. So here the question is different. So it's really, I think the job of a psychologist varies from country to country, from society to society. For example, people in Bohemia are different than people in Morava, for example.
Of course.
So it varies a lot, especially in these fundamental beliefs and questions.
So you have to know your people, sort of.
Yeah.
And you need to know your patient, because if you are taking care of a patient who is not a native Czech person, that's kind of difficult for a psychologist, because you need to understand the whole culture, things, and you will never be able to do this properly.
So you think if you, for example, would move to US,
it would be very difficult. It can be helpful in asking questions, because for me as a psychologist, it's kind of difficult to understand the point of view of the person. Because if you say, for example, a sentence, I can understand the sentence on my own and just have my own assumptions about what you said or about your story. But if you are talking to me in a different language, it's much easier for me to ask for your feelings behind it. How do you meant it? And this could be really helpful in this, but it would be very difficult to understand the background.
Okay. Yeah.
And in the chat, someone said something interesting. Perhaps death is fearsome for so many of us because we attach life and happiness to material things. I think that's on point. That's very, very true.
And maybe because we don't talk about death so much, it disappeared from our lives. It was a part of our lives 50 years ago. People died at home. And as the medical care evolved, people are started to die at hospitals. So we don't see people dying. So that's why we don't talk about it. And we usually approach this as a failure of medicine.
Yeah.
Not a normal part of life.
And mainly, for example, I noticed this with parents. They try to hide death to their kids, which for me, since I was a kid, I've known that people are going to die, this is going to happen. Going to visit someone's grave, I used to go with my father. It depends on the way you raise your kids. So for me, at least my opinion is that it's very important that at a very young age, the kid knows that there's life, there's death, eventually this is going to happen, there's nowhere to go. And the earlier the kid has this mentality, the better it's for this person to deal with life.
Of course. And the kids can deal with death much better than we do. This is so surprising, because of course we have patients in their 30s who are dying, and they are so afraid to tell the children what's going on to happen. And the children they know it. They know that there is something going on, but they just don't understand what exactly. And if we share that this is death, the father will not be there anymore, this is much easier for them, and they are great in this. So I encourage all to talk with their children about death and dying.
I think this is a good transitioning point to a next big topic that you're dealing with, and this is you work with the military, isn't it? Previously, yeah. So you were doing psychological testing in the military for recruits. Am I understanding correctly? Can you tell us a little bit about it? What is it? Why is it important?
We are probably one of the few countries who assess the military personnel at the beginning. Other armies or armed forces usually do this for the officer's position. But we think that it's good to do the screening at the very beginning it's called a negative recruitment. You are not choosing the best. You are just ruling out those who can be hurtful for themselves or for the rest of the guys who are there. And it's a nice job. Tough, but I got this amazing opportunity to interview hundreds or thousands of people, because there are a lot of people who want to enter the army, and we of course at the military hospital provide the care and assessment for the current military personnel, like periodical testing if they want to drive in the army, or if they are paratroopers, or after the deployment or prior to the deployment. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Or not?
Yes. No.
I forgot the question. I just got so eager into the military. If the IQ score is below 80, you cannot serve in the army. Sorry. And sometimes
it's good thing I am in medicine.
We usually don't like people who are above 115 in the army.
115.
15.
15, it's like a superior intellect. But
why then is it?
Because if you are too clever, you don't want to follow the recommendations from your officer, or you have your own ideas. And in the army, you just need to listen and follow the instructions. You need to fulfill the instruction you got. You cannot have a discussion about it.
Are you
Never.
sure those are not top secret informations?
No, that's very clear.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the hierarchy.
Oh
we need to
God.
follow the orders.
This is so shame. So above 115, you have above.
No,
the
we
normal
accept
intelligence?
them. Of course, we accept them, but we know that this could cause some troubles. Because if you can think about stuff you are supposed to do, you tend to say, no, I don't think this is a right choice. We should attack this group from this side, not this side. This is something that's unacceptable in the army. And that's why I have never been a member of the army. I know I don't want to follow these orders. I know I have my own idea. I was a civilian, but in the military. I worked for the military, but I remain civilian, because then I could tell someone, this is not the order I want to follow. Just keep it for yourself, and I believe.
Would you be in the military, Nikita?
A fun fact, I actually tried to
Wow.
study military in medicine in military Germany, but at the time I still had my Russian passport, so I could not do the assessment. I couldn't participate in that. Yeah, but I wanted it primarily because of.
You think you would fit?
You're a doctor in the army. It's different from being a soldier still.
Yeah.
I would think. I don't know. I don't know actually. I started running more as a preparation. So yeah, but I think it's good to have also people who think about things now, because there was this famous case in the Cold War that there's one officer who disobeyed orders on firing nuclear missiles, and this was basically the last straw between us and the Third World War. So he was, because he was like, maybe that is not such a clever idea.
Yeah.
And he didn't push the button.
From which country? Was
Yeah,
this?
a Russian officer. No, yeah.
Really? Are you sure?
No, but not all Russians are.
No.
Of course.
No, of course not.
No assumptions.
No, yes,
We're just
yes.
messing with you.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting story.
I don't think I would fit the military. My mom says I'm too opinionated, so I have a big mouth.
This will not work in the military.
No.
This cannot work.
It was hard for my parents, you know? I imagine for officers, so no.
I believe it would be hard for your psychologist as well.
My psychologist would go through hell with me. This is very nice.
We researched a little bit, and you wrote this nice article actually about like dealing with stress, and you were talking there also what we can learn from maybe from the psychology that is done in the military, so what we can learn from military, yeah. And you were talking also about this concept of resilience, that is you want to choose people that are resilient, but what is general psychological resilience? What does it mean?
That you are able to cope with the events that appear in your life and still or without psychological distress. This is something that can be taught. This is something we can teach our soldiers how to become more resilient. But resilience means like you can go through situations without harming yourself. And there are, of course, people who are more sensitive and they have their own place. It's not like resilient people are the good ones and those who are not resilient are those like poor ones. They are sensitive. They are empathetic much more usually, not always. So it's difficult to give you a definition of resilience, but it's the ability to face even extraordinary event and know your own coping strategies and mechanisms, how you can soothe yourself.
Mm-hmm. There is like this a little maybe debate and like cultural about today's culture that is going on, that people nowadays are quote unquote losing resilience, yeah, and are more concerned with not doing difficult things, maybe having a safe space for themselves, that this is a big deal. Would you agree with that? Is there a sort of that more this psychological resilience is lost, or is it?
I don't want to generalize, because I believe we faced a very extraordinary events during COVID and now during the war, and it's something that can help us build the resilience back, because if we are going through very calm times, there are no challenges, so you cannot build yourself or move yourself forward. But if you are having those challenges, you can build the resilience. So maybe we are building the resilience back while going through those difficult times.
So we need the difficulties.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
This is how we learn about ourselves and our coping styles. If you live in very comfortable life without like any negative events, anything challenging, any failure, you will not learn how to cope with the failure. That's a big problem for a child who were raised by hyper-protective parents, because they have never ever experienced failure and they don't know how to cope with it, and this will happen in your life.
I do see that a lot when they grow up. I see a lot of people, they just choose the easy way out, and sometimes doing the right thing means doing the hardest thing. And just because you're making like this decision, and people may say, oh, she made the decision or he made the decision, it's so hard, but he made it look so easy. But that there's a lot going on behind that. And so when kids grow up like this with protective parents, they end up choosing the easy path, not facing the real problems and difficulties of life. And we see that a lot, actually. I see that, at least I notice this a lot with people around me sometimes.
And my question is how they are feeling. If they are feeling like, okay, I'm having a good life, or if they are feeling like they are failing. Like
I think they feel like they fail. You can see, and they look at you sometimes, and you're making the hard decisions, and they're choosing the way out. And sometimes it's easy for you to get angry at them, but for me, I just choose to, whether you deal with it or you ignore it. It depends on who you are as a person. If you care, you will deal with it and try to help. If you don't feel like it's good for you, just ignore it.
And why do you think they are choosing the like easy way out?
Because that's the only way they know.
And that's maybe because they are afraid of the difficult way. They know that they cannot deal with it. They don't have any experience. So I see a fear behind it. But maybe it's me.
I agree with you. This was very nice and time flew. It was smooth.
Okay, then we have a deep fried interview. Nice. We're gonna come back to whichever questions are remaining. We're gonna have. You told us. You told us that you also very concerned with mindfulness and you like meditation, and that's why we prepared a little guided meditation for the end.
Oh boy, okay.
Yeah, and
I must say I'm not good at meditation. I tried it for 30 seconds and then I left. So I'm not good.
That's a good start.
Really?
Yes, it is. I usually tell in my class that meditation or mindfulness is like trying to run. If you run for the first time, you can survive for like 1 minute and that's it. It's same with the meditation. We are so in our heads, we are overthinking things. So it's really difficult to turn your mind off.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's put some relaxing music.
Should we close our eyes?
Yes, please close your eyes just to relax in the seat.
Okay.
Yeah. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax your shoulders. Feel the weight of your body. Breathe in love. Breathe out tension. Breathe in desire. Breathe out any stress. You're laying in a comfortable bed. You feel a fluffy pillow behind your neck. The blankets feel soft against your body. They feel like velvet. They comfort you. You touch them. They're soft as silk. You realize now that you aren't wearing many clothes, but you don't feel exposed or uncomfortable, but rather perfect. Right next to you is your special person, as if you were made to be together. You feel desirable and sexy. Take a deep breath and inhale.
I ain't about this life, people. Okay, sorry.
What's wrong, Emily?
No, it's just
Aren't you sexy right at the
Yes,
moment?
yes.
Naked
Just
and
breathe.
sexy. I'm right here. Continue.
Just breathe in and breathe out, Emily. Breathe in and breathe out. Take a deep breath and inhale all the smells of the beautiful room. It's a cozy room filled with lovely romantic images. You see roses of all different colors, where lovely flowers are many lit candles. There are luxurious blankets and pillows all around the room. Show you their paintings equally as lovely, showing you scenes of sunset, happiness, beauty. Soft romantic music plays in the background. Everything feels so natural. You feel exactly at the right place, with the right person. You look over to your special person, and they smile back at you. You realize that your special person is still fully clothed, and you decide to change that. I think this is enough.
I think so. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's a little guided meditation I like to do usually in the evening.
That's what you
Yes, every day.
Wow.
Can you fall asleep easily after it or not?
No, that's
I
why I
don't think
explained
he's
the reason
going
for
to.
my insomnia.
do? I don't think he sleeps after this. Well, that
Yeah.
was This was nice. It was different.
Do we have any more questions from the audience?
I think the audience is like, I feel so sexy. Ooh, the Russian accent is the cherry on the top. Nikita,
Yeah,
someone there.
it slips through sometimes.
oh my god. The other one's like, I'm losing my shit. Oh my god.
And can we scroll up a little bit? There were some previous questions, I think.
I don't think so. No.
I don't know if there is an easier path leading to the same result as difficult path. I choose the easy path.
How philosophical is this one?
So if there is an easier path leading to the same result as a difficult path, they would choose the easier path.
But sometimes
And
it's
how
not
do you
about the
know it?
result.
And
Do you have in your life, like when you make decisions, like a huge transcript? This is an easy path and this is a difficult path. Because I don't have it.
yeah,
So if you do, please tell me.
And sometimes it's more about it's about the journey, not the result itself. It's like you can obtain something, but the things you learn on the way is like sometimes way more important than what you achieve. Sometimes, I think that's the point. But each person chooses their path.
yeah. But also, I think, isn't there sometimes we think there are things that we see are regarded as difficult, and some things are regarded as easy, so we can choose depending on that. Sometimes.
And that's when I believe we usually choose the easy path. We don't like voluntarily go for the difficult one. I believe so.
Actually,
You disagree?
with me at least, my mom says it all the time. But I think something's wrong with me. But some people just
You want to try it. You want to prove that you can do it.
I have issues. I'm telling you. I'm telling
We
you.
all have issues. That's why we are so needed. Thank you for having your issues. That's why I can have my job.
I'm happy to help you with your job. But thank you so much for this. Was very nice. Thank you for being
thank you
here.
for being here with us. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for spending 1 hour of your life with me.
It was nice.
Yeah.
It was
It
very
was
nice.
nice.
Then
Me
thank you everybody for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and we're gonna see you next time.
And I hope you enjoyed the meditation.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.